Alright, peace, Loran. So welcome. This is going to be session two of your reading. And so we're just going to be covering Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. And then on section 3, we'll talk about the aspects and we'll also cover Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. But anyways, Mercury. So Mercury, for starters, is the planet that deals with your intellectual abilities. It deals with how you logicalize and rationalize reality. So it's all about your perception, and like your perspective. And ultimately, how you break things down in life. It also helps you gain an understanding of your communication abilities. So how you externalize and project your thoughts out into the world. It also helps you understand how you learn and how you, absorb information. Right, so that's what Mercury is. Now, you also have Mercury in Taurus in the 10th house. You feel what I'm saying? So let's begin with Taurus. So Mercury is a very light planet. You feel what I'm saying? It's a light planet, and it more deals with just thoughts. You feel me? But then, when it's in Taurus, it becomes very practical and more inclined towards thinking through its feelings than through logic and rationality. You feel what I'm saying? So when Mercury is in Taurus, this produces an individual who is very practical in their way of thinking. You feel what I'm saying? They like to think in means of what makes sense to me, and what makes sense, but like even to the point of literal sense. You feel what I'm saying? Like monetary sense. Like these individuals are very good at being grounded in reality and having an ability to think things thoroughly, but also apply things in the physical world so then they can get something in return from them. You know what I'm saying? So unlike air placements in Mercury, who kind of just are interested and love to just be mentally stimulated and think, like these Mercury Tauruses may rather want their thoughts to be of resources to them. You feel me? Because Taurus in general is a sign of personal resources, so they see their thoughts as resourceful, and they want their thoughts to be resourceful. You feel what I'm saying? Yeah. And so thus they're very good even at taking their thoughts, and there's a saying, right? It goes, if you can hold it in your mind, you can hold it in your hands. And I feel like that's very much with the Mercury in Taurus. They like to think only thoughts that they can hold in their hands. You feel what I'm saying? And so there also can be like a sense of like stubbornness here. And even when it comes to other people's thoughts, they may discredit other people's and take this with a grain of salt. You feel what I'm saying? But it's like they may discredit other people's thoughts, and they may not see the tangibleness of their thoughts and kind of just want to stick with their own thoughts. Like, because when the Mercury goes into Taurus, there can be this perspective that's pretty fixed in the sense of wanting and having a desire for things to stay the same, and they may not see issues on why things cannot stay the same. It may have a desire for things to stay the same. You feel what I'm saying? And so Taurus being a fixed sign, there can be an inertia that is manifested here with their thoughts and their minds, of like kind of just mentally going in a one direction and not having an ability to shift and change their patterns of thoughts, but needing some inspiration outside of them, whether that's a person in a book, even a crystal, maybe something outside of them, to help them shift and change their perceptions and perspective. So it is of importance though to understand that, and you probably may even already understand this, that like not just your thoughts are resourceful, but you can also perceive other people's thoughts as resourceful, and whereas you may not be able to think certain things, other people may be able to think from different perspectives than you're thinking, and you can take their thoughts and turn it into a resource. You feel what I'm saying? Most definitely. Um, so here, with Mercury being in Taurus, these individuals, when it comes to learning, they're more tangible. You feel what I'm saying? They would rather see a demonstration. They're more sight orientated, right? Some people learn through sight, some people through ear, sound, you feel me? And so in this case with Taurus, when you desire to learn something, allow yourself to perceive as much practical examples of that thing as possible. You feel what I'm saying? Like, you would benefit more so from witnessing something rather than sitting in a class. You feel me? Like, these individuals, they learn and extract knowledge more profoundly from practical experiences of doing something rather than just sitting in classes. So it's also of importance to understand that. But these individuals are also pretty diplomatic, and with their abilities to think practically, they do have an ability to make ends meet way easier and way faster than their air peers, people that have air signs, Mercury and air signs, etc., who more are just tangible and up in the air, intangible and up in the air. These individuals are very grounded, and they're good with that as well. And so, yeah, one thing of importance though is to understand the value of opening the mind, you feel me, and not being so fixated mentally or being stubborn mentally, because with these individuals, it's a good thing only until it's a hindrance. You feel what I'm saying? For the most part, these individuals are the type of individuals who, like, when they say something, they mean it, and then they go and do it. You feel what I'm saying? There is no wishy-washy or shaky energy here. You feel me? They're straight with their word. They say what they mean, and they mean what they say. You feel what I'm saying? But yeah, so that's pretty much Mercury in Taurus. And yeah, like I said, the fixatedness, that should definitely be worked on. So with the moon being in the 10th house, Mercury being in the 10th house, this indicates that, well, the mother was of great influence in your mentality and your way of thinking. Mercury in Taurus even kind of shows a great influence over your mother, being of great influence over your thinking, you feel what I'm saying? So yeah, when I was looking at the moon in Pisces, I should have also looked at Mercury being in the 10th house, and that kind of would have helped me better balance things out, you feel what I'm saying? But with the readings, that's kind of what it's all about, a collaboration between me and you feel what I'm saying? The more information I can get from you, the better I can conduct these readings. But with them, so that's the first and foremost thing. Also, second, these individuals with the Mercury in the 10th house, they may have a great ambition and desire to, like, want to talk about themselves. You feel what I'm saying? Of course, you have that Venus in the 8th house in Pisces, so you are very inclusive as well, and you do bring other people's energy. But it's like with the Mercury being in the 10th house, there may be this continuous thought about your status and where you want to be and how you want to be. You feel what I'm saying? You may find yourself communicating about that. But also with Mercury in the 10th house, it is of great importance, and you probably have already found a career that enables you to exercise your mentality. And this can be a career in communications, but Mercury also deals with transportation, so this can be like a career, in some forms of transportation, transporting resources, transporting people, whatever it is. But with Mercury being in the 10th house, this makes an individual who is very good at thinking in terms of what the world needs and how the world can benefit. You feel what I'm saying? Because the 10th house is the house of, it's the house of the career, but it's also the house of honor and credit, you feel me, and like the public as well. So yeah, most definitely find ways to apply your thoughts in manners where you are thinking in channels of how can I assist and benefit the collective. Like, how can I use my intellect, right, to better and improve not only your own status, but the status of those around you or whatever it is. You feel what I'm saying? I feel like with Mercury being in Taurus, it's of great importance. Not even of great importance, but typically what happens is these individuals want to bring practical energies into their work life, but also just practical thoughts and mental energy into the world. You feel what I'm saying? But yeah, it's pretty much Mercury and Taurus. Now we'll get into your Venus, which is in Pisces. I'll be back. Peace. Okay, so now Venus and Pisces in the 8th house. Alright, so for starters, let's talk about what Venus is. So Venus is the planet that highlights and signifies your social abilities. You feel what I'm saying? It highlights the things you desire from your social interactions, but also how it is that you and of yourself portray yourself to your social friends. You feel what I'm saying? So it's not like randos that you just meet, but it's like just friends in general that you are acquainted with and already associated with. You feel what I'm saying? So that's what Venus is. It's your ability to relate with others. You feel what I'm saying? And ultimately, the energies you experience and you express in relationships. Alright. So your Venus is in Pisces. You feel me? The keywords for this placement when Venus is in Pisces is compassion. You feel what I'm saying? Deception, and also self-sacrifice. You feel what I'm saying? Those are the primary keywords for this placement. Now, I do have to bring forth the fact that Venus is exalted when it's in the sign Pisces, meaning that this is where it is able to express itself of the highest ability. You feel what I'm saying? And these individuals have great abilities to be compassionate and to show love to others. They love to a point of self-sacrifice. You feel what I'm saying? And the issue here can arise with the fact that they may confuse sympathy with love, and also, because Pisces in general is a sign that deals with healing, they may be drawn, and especially also with your Venus being in the 8th house as well, they may be drawn and attracted to people who in of themselves may not be healthy, and I don't even mean physically, but maybe emotionally or mentally, but they may approach from a place of sympathy and a desire to want to help and fix the individuals. You feel what I'm saying? And so even though the Venus and Pisces may have a genuine desire to do so, in the long run their partner may go on to resent them for that. You feel what I'm saying? So there should be a looking into the fact that you don't get into experiences with others because you wish to heal them, or you wish to fix them because they're broken or something like that. You feel what I'm saying? But yeah, I also want to say that with Venus and Pisces, Pisces is a sign that deals with like fantasies, and with that being said, they have a desire to be with like Apollo, you feel me, or Aphrodite, you feel me, like those like super like dope partners. It's like they may have a desire to be with someone who is like a fantasy, you feel me, but because of their pursuit towards that, they may find themselves in the long run being disappointed and frustrated simply because that's not what that person was, and they get disappointed with their realness. You feel what I'm saying? So it is of great importance to understand, to approach love from a realistic perspective and not from a perspective of fantasy orientated type energies. You feel me? Now I also want to say this, like just in general, like this isn't even romantic, but just friendships and everything like that, you do have an ability to be very loving and caring and affectionate and demonstrate great amounts of compassion. Like these are the people that will literally take their shirts off of their backs for someone else, and if they can support that individual emotionally or financially, they 100% will. You feel me? But the issue with this placement can also arise in the fact that one, um, they may just be content with just living. My bad, not living. They may just be content with just existing rather than living life. You feel me? And it's of great importance for Venus and Pisces to understand that they need to learn to allow their love to just flow without fear of being judged for their lovingness, but to allow their loving ways to just flow. You feel what I'm saying? And truly, it's when they get into a space when they are loving and caring and compassionate to all beings that they attract life to them, and that they truly start to experience life. You feel what I'm saying? And it's like there can be a great detriment in restricting one's compassion from others. Like with Venus and Pisces, when they restrict and limit their compassion from others, they actually in of themselves suffer from it. You feel what I'm saying? And I also want to say this, like with Venus and Pisces energy, it's of great importance to be conscientious of the fact that when it comes to your friendships and connections, you may be naive and approach it from a perspective of, like I said earlier, fantasy, and not seeing their flaws and not seeing them for who they truly are. You feel me? And because of that, you can be susceptible to being manipulated and attracting and drawing people that in the long run just want to manipulate you. They may be good at playing the game and playing you. You feel what I'm saying? So yeah, it's definitely important to be more discerning. So it's like Virgo is the opposite of Pisces, and Virgo is all about analyticalism, being analytical and seeing things thoroughly. um Now, with you also being a sun in Taurus, this definitely adds more to like the Venetian energy, because Taurus rules Venus. I mean, Venus is ruled by Taurus, but Venus also exalted in Pisces. So this makes you a very like loving and nourishing, caring individual. Like so much. Highly affectionate and caring, and just loving. So that's good, and you have that ability, and it's important to tap into. So Venus, right? The higher octave of Venus is Neptune. Now, Venus deals with personal love, you feel me? Love that you experience from a personal standpoint. Neptune deals with universal love, agape love, right? Love that encompasses and bridges to all and everyone and everything, you feel me? So it's of great importance that you allow yourself to get into a space where you are in a place of understanding that you are connected with everything. You feel what I'm saying? And yeah, and having an ability to express love to all things, not just humans, but just be loving. I feel is very highly significant with this placement. Now, I would say pretty much these individuals are also very creative. They desire a partner who is spiritually attuned, like at the highest level. You feel what I'm saying? They desire also a partner who can read them, because these individuals may not be so articulate, but they may want a partner who can tune in and tap in and feel them. You feel me? And this can sometimes be unrealistic, and they may need to learn to, open up and express themselves, because that may also be difficult with this placement. Now, you also have Venus in the 8th house, you feel me? With your Venus being in the 8th house, this can be hard, and it can make things even harder because it adds more to that energy of sacrifice, sacrificing yourself for others tremendously, you feel me? But ultimately with this placement, there is a strong desire to want to find a partner whom you can experience extremes with. You feel what I'm saying? Spiritual extremes, emotional extremes, and sexual extremes. There can be a desire to want to find someone who you can merge with. You wanting to find the soulmate, no, nothing more or less. You feel what I'm saying? With the placement being here. Also, with Venus in the 8th house, it is of great importance to understand that, like, it's primarily you attain your love and your treasures in general through accomplishing spiritual tests. You feel what I'm saying? And when I say spiritual tests, I mean, like, with this placement here, there can be a need for you to learn to transcend above and beyond, like, first and foremost yourself, but also just your lower natures of wanting to attract and draw things for the sake of your benefit. You feel what I'm saying? But learning to, in a sense, attach your pleasures with spiritual reasons and understandings. And so how I mean by this is like, hold on, I gotta think about this. Like, you know, and even like being practical, like with the 8th house and Venus, there can just even be like a learning of transforming yourself and transforming the old you into a new you through the understanding that there may be a version of you that may be able to better, you feel what I'm saying, enjoy your treasures and the things you already have. And it's like you need to learn to transform into that version of you rather than being in a space where it's like everything is just negative and toxic. You feel me? But I would say with the Venus being in the 8th house, that pretty much sums it up. I mean, Venus in Pisces in the 8th house, that pretty much sums it up. Alright, cool. Alright, now let's talk about your Mars, which is in Libra in the 3rd house. So Mars is the planet of aggression. It deals with how our aggression is channeled. When I say aggression, you know, I think a better word for me to use is motivation, right? It's the planet of motive, you know, motivation, execution, you know, how it is that it looks when we are in our energies of strife, you feel me, in our energies of overcoming obstacles in life, you feel me. So yeah, that's what Mars is. Alright, and so first and foremost, you have your Mars in an air sign within an air house. This signifies that you have great mental abilities, you know, very very mentally charged, you feel me. And so ultimately what that means is that, well, let's talk about Libra because your Mars is in Libra. So you have your Mars in the sign of Libra. So this is an indicator that you primarily experience obstacles and strife when it comes to partnerships and friendships and relationships. You feel what I'm saying? But you know, when Mars is in Libra, right? Because Mars is the planet of strife and how you overcome strife, and then Libra is like how you do it. So Mars is what, and Libra is how. So with your Mars being in Libra, there may be this energy of like, in a sense, giving your hardships and your struggles to others, and like depending on them to help you deal with it, or going into an energy of like partnership in relationship to like overcome an obstacle or strife, you feel me. But also like when it comes to Mars in Libra, unfortunately Mars is debilitated in this sign, meaning it doesn't do so well because see, Mars is exalted, not exalted, it's exalted in Capricorn, but I meant to say Aries. So Mars is at home in Aries, and Aries is the opposite sign of Libra. And Aries is a sign, right, that deals with the I am. It deals with the ego. It deals with your willpower and your own personal vitality and strength. Meanwhile, Libra is a sign that deals with like marriage, it deals with union, it deals with friendships, right? And so first and foremost, there is a strong desire to unify with others, you know, and in a sense produce harmony socially speaking. And there may be this energy of like channeling a lot of your aggressive energies, a lot of your strife energies towards ensuring and making sure that you're giving yourself to others, and you're making sure that other people are good and okay. And so what happens here is there can be a tendency of filling up everyone else's cup, but then your cup being empty, doing for others, but then not doing, but not understanding that while you were busy doing for others, your cup ran empty type energy. You feel what I'm saying? And so there can also be an indecisive sort of energy here, um, with kind of being more comfortable other people calling the shots rather than you calling the shots. You feel what I'm saying? There can be a polarization between wanting and seeing yourself being able to go on both sides of the roads. You feel me? Seeing, because Libra, right, it's the balance, and it is a very dualistic sign. So like there is of great importance to learn to be more assertive and more domineering with the things that you claim you want to do. You know what I'm saying? Because with Libra here, it can be an energy of like, well, what do you want to do? I'm okay with doing this or that type energy. You know what I'm saying? And this can kind of confuse people and throw people off, because like there can always be like, even when there is an assertive type of energy of like, okay, this is what I want to do, there may be like, but I'm okay with doing that too. You feel me? So even when there is an assertion, like it can be watered down, and you feel what I'm saying, watered down with a whisper that comes in of like doubt or whatever. I hope that makes sense. You feel me? And so with also Mars and Libra, this does indicate a great potency and ability in like being accomplished with something dealing with the social life, for what I'm saying, and helping society at large, because that's what Libra also is. Like Libra, you're right, it's also a sign that deals with justice and equality and fairness for all. And so those are things that most definitely motivate you, a desire to ensure that everybody is like good and safe. You feel me? So the thing about astrology is a lot of energies within your chart are going to be reinforcing certain energies we talked about. You feel me? And like with your Mars being in Libra, it kind of reinforces that Pisces self-sacrifice energy, because when Mars is in Libra, it can be self-sacrificing as well, and it can be motivated according to others, right? And so we did talk about your great motivation and being pulled from your mother, right? Because like with the moon in Pisces, like with the moon in Pisces in the 8th house, that really threw me off. With your relation with your mother, but your sun in Taurus and then your Mercury in Taurus very highlights a motivation. You feel me? So it can be an indication of like maybe that partnership that you draw aspiration from, maybe your mother, or may have even been like when you were in partnership and in relationship, you did a lot of things that were dependent upon what your ex-husband wanted to do over what you wanted to do. You feel me? So with this placement, it's really about learning to stand up for yourself and learning to speak your truth and say what you want to say. You feel what I'm saying? Because like, yeah, with Mars, but like Mars is, like I said earlier, is the planet of aggression, so it highlights and indicates that there are a lot of aggressive energies that unfold in partnerships and dynamics. Partnership dynamics, you feel what I'm saying? And so it's of great importance to understand that you may be overly compromising, and you may need to learn how to assert yourself and be more dominant. And it's like, because of your passivity, there may be this tendency of like, you thinking you being passive is helping the relationship, but in reality, you being passive, like belittles you and enables your partners, your friends, whatever it is, to see what you can bring to the table and how you can be of value. So even though it may be uncomfortable to assert yourself, it is of importance to do so, because when you do so, you help your friends in the sense of bringing yourself to the table, who you truly are, as a unique individual. You feel me? And it's better that way than for you to just have this energy of being motivated with what other people are motivated with, kind of being a part of the crowd over being, you know, the crowd yourself, if that makes sense. And it's like with your sun being in the 10th house, right? Your energy of power and like rising to a position in place where you're like, right? When I think of the 10th house, Taurus, this is very much energy of like women who are like business owners, right? Like businesswomen who have like influence and power themselves, you know. But it's like, as long as there's this attachment to others and the narrative of society and following their narrative over following the beat of your own drum, right? You won't fully tap into your mental abilities and capabilities. As you know, like with your Mars being in the 3rd house as well, this highlights and signifies an individual who is like a mental warrior. You feel me? Really, you may have great abilities and energies of like even debating with other people, but then it's like with that Venus and Pisces, you may not completely be there and want to do that, because like you see what happens is sometimes with communication there may be an aggressive underlying tone, even though you don't mean it, like just the way you communicate. Like with Mars in the 3rd house, the 3rd house is the house of communication, there may be this energy of animation. You may be overly animated, you feel what I'm saying, when you articulate and express yourself to others, you feel what I'm saying. But it's like just who and what you are. But with Mars being in the 3rd house, it's an indication of an individual, like I said, who is mentally charged, most definitely. And it's also an energy of an individual who has an ability to bridge many different talents and abilities into one skill set. You feel me? Like, if, for example, if you're a dancer, you may know how to dance, sing, like move in formation and all these other things, you know, with the 3rd house here. This can even be an individual with many different abilities and talents. But yeah, you know, ultimately with Mars in the 3rd house, that's what it highlights. An individual whose weapons are primarily mental more than anything else. So it's important to learn to further sharpen your sword, you know, your mental sword, and your shield, your mental shield, you feel me? But ultimately with this placement, it's of importance that you speak your mind and you say what you feel, you feel what I'm saying? Because there can be a fear of doing so because you don't want to ruffle anything and make any troubles. But it's like sometimes you have to make troubles and ruffle things in order for you to be situated. And it's like, simply put, you can't really expect to fill other people's cups up if your cup in of itself is empty. But yeah, that's pretty much like Mars in Libra in the 3rd house. Now we'll be looking into your Jupiter. Alright, now let's look into Jupiter, right? Jupiter, so Jupiter, you know, it's the planet of joy, you feel me? Probably why I'm so joyful, but that's aside the point. So Jupiter, it signifies and highlights your ability to, in a sense, tap into like universal love and like faith and like divinity type energy, you feel what I'm saying? Jupiter is the planet of expansion, so it signifies and it highlights the energies in which are associated with you, which you use to expand yourself, which you utilize to bring forth opportunities to you, you feel me? So just a little background with Jupiter. Like Jupiter is also a planet, right, that deals with like religions. It's a planet that deals with mercy. It deals with benevolence, charity, you know, giving. So that's what it very much is. So that's what Jupiter is. Now you have Jupiter in the sign Scorpio. You know, fortunately, even though Scorpio is a negative sign, Jupiter expands the positive attributes and qualities of the said energies. So first and foremost, right, with you having Jupiter in Scorpio, there is an indication of an interest, like in the occult. You feel what I'm saying? Like growing up, even you may have always been drawn and inclined towards understanding and learning the occult, and it's like occult meaning the hidden and the unknown, and it's like the more you can tap into the unknown and the hidden aspects of reality, the closer and more you will feel a connection to a higher divine power. You feel what I'm saying? But also, like with this placement with Jupiter and Scorpio, Jupiter also deals with like your values. You feel what I'm saying? And with Scorpio being a sign that deals with mysterious energies, there may be a possibility of you not fully being aware and understanding what your values and your principles are, like why you do what you do and what it is that you what exactly it is that you stand for. You feel what I'm saying? So it may be of great importance for you to dive deep, like with Jupiter being here, like simply put, diving deep within yourself and exploring your unconscious and subconscious mind. You feel what I'm saying? Is of great importance, and really, really clarifying and learning about what your values and needs are of great importance as well. Otherwise, there may be this energy of like doing things but not completely understanding why it is that you do things. You feel what I'm saying? And so also I want to say this, Scorpio is a sign that deals with strife, and it's a sign that's associated with the phoenix, right, which rises from the ashes. And so with that being said, there is an importance of understanding the benevolence that comes with pain and having immense, intense emotions that are likely painful. In the sense that a lot of the times with Jupiter and Scorpio, the pains that the individuals go through is not in vain, but it's for the sake of helping them expand and grow and evolve. You feel what I'm saying? And so with this placement here, it's of great importance also to understand that there is an energy of learning to allow, death and transformation to happen within yourself, and death and transformation also to happen when it comes to like one's values and principles and maybe religious perceptions. You feel what I'm saying? And allowing a new perspective and perception to be surfaced and to come into light. And so I also should say this, like, well, see, with Jupiter and Scorpio, these individuals have great abilities to desire, and a lot of the times their desires are what open them towards receiving money. You feel me? And like with Venus being in the 8th house in general, there is this faith and belief of worthiness of acquiring money, and it's like, because everything is mental, and desire is the power which draws things to you. Because there's that desire, typically, especially with Jupiter and Scorpio, these individuals have a magnetic ability to draw money to them, and they just may have a magnetic pull and draw on others. You feel what I'm saying? And Scorpio is also a sign that deals with sexuality, and so there may be an energy of, but then like you have Mars in Libra and it's debilitated, and I did talk about you possibly having like a low sex drive, but then it's like with Jupiter being in Scorpio, there may be a possibility that like through Jupiter, like the sexuality is expanded. You feel what I'm saying? And so there may be an innate interest in sexuality even, and this can even be like just wanting to learn and study like the philosophical or theological aspects of sex. You feel what I'm saying? In the sense of like studying Tantra and learning what Tantra is, but further just expanding your own awareness of sexuality and what it is. You feel what I'm saying? And it would be of great value for you to learn how to take sex from like the animalistic aspect of just mutual masturbation, essentially through the physical body, and into a place of like an act of regeneration, and learning how to learning that sex is sacred energy exchange, and learning how to exchange energies between you and the individual you're engaging in the act with, for the sake of healing, but also for the sake of attaining higher spiritual heights. You feel what I'm saying? Like certain practices utilize sex as a spiritual practice to attain higher enlightenment. You feel what I'm saying? Higher attainment of spiritual awareness. You feel what I'm saying? And it very much is like that for sure. And it's like for you, it's like your connection to the divine comes through feelings, intense feelings. And it's like whenever you are in a space of intense feelings, you feel closer to the divine. You feel what I'm saying? And this can even be like this can even be like, it can be negative, sure, and it can be immense amounts of pain, but it can even just be like emotionally being exalted and feelings of joy, happiness, and appreciation, and feeling like you are connected to a higher power and a higher source. You feel what I'm saying? But yeah, most definitely with Scorpio being here, it's important for you to learn to tap into those deep emotions. You feel what I'm saying? Those deep emotions, most definitely. And so you also have it in the fourth house. With you having Jupiter in the fourth house, it's an indicator first and foremost that your upbringing had a tremendous impact upon your philosophy and your perspective today on life, and your mother even possibly had a great impact. And with Jupiter being in the fourth house, it's an indicator that, like, so I didn't see it with Moon in the eighth house. I thought like that meant something else with your mother, but like with Jupiter in the fourth house, it indicates that there is a like exaltation of the mother, like seeing the mother as an example of great like religious exaltation, for lack of a better term. When I say religious exaltation, like maybe a guru, or maybe the wise one who knows it all, or just a light of perfection, you feel what I'm saying, maybe imposed upon the mother. But ultimately though, with the Jupiter in the fourth house, there's an indication that for you, when it comes to motherhood energy, there is a lot of expansion there for you to experience as well. But of course, like with Mars being in Libra, there is an indication of like possible like struggles with having I don't even want to say this because I may be wrong, but like there is a possibility of like infidelity, you feel what I'm saying, with Mars being in Libra, like not infertility, I mean, you feel what I'm saying. But anyways, with Jupiter being in the fourth house also, it's an indication of course, someone with great compassion and having a desire to want to love and give harmonious energies to the community and to the family, and the home being not just closed off but open, and maybe being a great host for parties, or just wanting people to come into the home, having a desire for a home that's benevolent, that's joyful, and that's filled with colors. You feel what I'm saying? Like the home with Jupiter being in the fourth house can even possibly a great source for learning and education. You feel what I'm saying? But ultimately though, with the fourth house being here in Jupiter, your ancestry, you feel what I'm saying? Like there is some sort of potency within your ancestry, you feel me, that you should look into and tap into. You may have been related to some really great people, you feel what I'm saying, people of great status or whatever it is, with Jupiter being in the fourth house. But then like the fourth house, it deals with ancestry, yeah, so it just deals with your DNA ultimately, and your DNA is within you. So it's like there's an importance of understanding that through tapping deeper within your DNA, you will activate energies of greatness that have been wanting to come out of you, but that are stuck in your ancestry, if that makes sense. But yeah, it's pretty much that with the Jupiter in the fourth house, Scorpio. All right. Alright, and now let's talk about Saturn. So you have your Saturn in the third house in the sign Libra. So first things first, right? Saturn is the planet that deals with restrictions, limitations, boundaries. It's all about structure, also systemization, discipline, etc. You feel what I'm saying? So, unlike Jupiter, which is holistically benefic, Saturn is maleficent, meaning it more also deals with like karma and like things like fear, doubt. You feel what I'm saying? And it's more restrictive. Alright, so first things first, your Saturn is in Libra. Libra is the sign of relationships, partnerships, and marriage. You feel what I'm saying? So there is a positive side to Saturn being in Libra, but there's also a negative. You feel what I'm saying? So Saturn being in the sign of partnerships indicates that there is some form or some sort of restriction and limitation that may have been experienced when it comes to, partnerships. Like there may have even been certain energies cultivated that resulted in feelings of like, I want to say inadequacy and feeling like you're not worthy of being loved and so on and so forth. But like ultimately, with Saturn being in Libra with this energy, it's an indication of like finding love and relationship through time. You feel what I'm saying? Through time. But then it's like you also have Saturn in the third house, which restricts and limits one's ability of the mind, and also communication. And so, of course, Saturn, it's very illusionary energy because it imposes fear and doubt. But like these individuals, when you really look, they are good at those things. But see, I like to think of Saturn as like, he's known as he's one of the fathers. You feel what I'm saying? But he's more like an older sort of individual. You feel what I'm saying? And with you having Saturn in Libra, it can even incline like that your partnerships and your relationships you get into maybe with individuals who are of older age, who are more grounded, who have it more together, more business orientated sort of energy as well. Because it's like in astrology, you feel me? Like people come to you, according to your astrology, that's how people will come to you. And certain people will fit the role of Saturn, others the role of Jupiter. You feel me? And like we mentioned earlier, with you having Jupiter in the fourth house, your mother may fit that role of Jupiter. But with Saturn being in Libra in the third house, right? Like I already talked about the restrictions of like love and possibly feeling like you're not like good enough to get into marriage and etc. and etc. Things like that. You feel me? But with this energy, it's really about learning to, in time, get better with partnerships and relationships and taking all the experiences you received and building a mentality and an ability to be able to function in relationships, but from a place not of the Venus and Pisces, but from a place of like practicality and logic and understanding what is healthy and what is not healthy, understanding how to set boundaries. You feel what I'm saying? And it's like another thing with the Saturn and Libra that can be negative is there is a tendency for these individuals to want peace and want to promote peace, and they can be like the peacemakers to a point where it's like they're so busy being peacemakers and that's how everyone sees them, that they don't have that energy and space to be themselves because they're more so fulfilling a role of being the friend. You feel me? And so because they're just the friend that people may count upon and depend upon, they may holistically lack being themselves authentically because they may compromise to a halt. And this is like we talked about it in Mars and Libra. It's kind of like the same energy here as well. Like positively though, these individuals have a great ability and affinity with people, and they typically tend to attract to themselves great positions in people in society, rather I should say, and they may attract great responsibilities amongst people, or they may even attract authoritative positions amongst people. You feel what I'm saying? Like, most definitely. And these are like the individuals who could be good judges and lawyers, etc., because they have this strong conviction and desire for fairness and equality. Like, when Saturn goes into Libra, they don't seek for people who did wrong to be punished, but they seek, justice. They don't seek punishment, they seek justice with this placement. So there is a good balance and harmony and ability here, but also it does call for a need, especially romantic relationships, for them to cultivate and learn energies dealing with that. You feel what I'm saying? Learn how to operate a healthy relationship. But when it comes to platonic friendships, they may be really, really, really good, and the guy who wrote How to Influence and Win Friends, he probably had a Saturn in Libra. You feel what I'm saying? Because, well, just Libra energy in general, but like, because the Saturn and Libra energy, they're very diplomatic, and they're very good with engaging with people and things like that. Now, Saturn, like I said earlier, it restricts and it makes things narrow. And so within the third house is a house that deals with your intellectual abilities, your mentality, and like, your intellectual abilities, your mentality, and your communicative abilities. And so with Saturn being in the third house, it's an indication that there may have been a restriction, possibly growing up, of not being given opportunity to hang around with your friends, your peers, of your age, or possibly just even education may have been narrow and limited. You feel what I'm saying? And so, but like in the long run though, like education with Saturn being in the third house is of great importance, and these are individuals who likely get educated and prioritize education and learning. But it's like there can be this inadequacy that's an illusion, because actually Saturn in the third house individuals have great minds and they can be potent scholars, but they just might have doubt and fear in themselves and their intellectual abilities, which then may cause them to not fully be able to express themselves and communicate, but also may cause things like stuttering and things like that as well. Inability to learn and educate, you feel me? Be educated, rather I should say. Those are possibilities, most definitely. Now with Saturn in the third house, because Saturn is a planet that can and Mars too. Mars also in the third house. Mars and Saturn being in the third house, there can be, and it's been proven by psychology that a lot of experiences we have in life, which we pass as accidental, actually were orchestrated by our subconscious mind. You feel me? Subconscious, not unconscious, by our subconscious mind, because when you like, and it's deep, I'm not going to get into it right now, but it's really, really deep. But it's like essentially our minds have abilities to orchestrate events to take place in our world. And it's like we may have a strong yearning and desire. Maybe it can even be, this mostly happens in the sixth house, where it's like people end up getting sick because it was only through them getting sick that they can take a day off or whatever. But really their sickness was a result of them wanting a day off, you feel me? But with the third house, it can incline, and third house in Mars and Sagittarius, Mars and Saturn can incline towards just being prone to accidents. But like, I'm not saying all of the accidents are a result of the unconscious mind, but a lot of them being a result of the unconscious mind and being a conduit in which you go about getting what it is that you wanted, but it came about because of an accident. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, so with Saturn being in the third house though, mental training is of great importance, and learning from a practical standpoint on how to, like, military vibes, you feel what I'm saying? Like learning how to train your mind and strengthen your mind and allow your mind to be one of the greatest attributes and qualities that you possess is of great importance here, you feel what I'm saying? And it's like, because Saturn, it also signifies strength and potentiality and possibility, but it's like the blueprint energy, and you have to learn to structurize it and put it together. So before you put it together, you like it, but then it's like once you start to work on putting it together, then once you have it in ways that other people don't have it. You feel what I'm saying? But yeah, communication may have been something that was of difficulty in your partnerships and in relationships, and an inability to communicate and articulate yourself holistically may also be of troublesome with this placement here. But yeah, that's pretty much like Saturn in your third house in the sign Libra. Well, that pretty much concludes the third session. The second session, and so within the next session, we will dive deeper into how these different energies are interacting with how these different energies are interacting with each other. You feel what I'm saying? Like how your Saturn is impacting your Sun, how your Moon is impacting your Sun, and how like Mercury is impacting Venus, etc., etc. But yeah, I hope that this session was of service and helpful to you. Peace. Talk to you soon.